Welcome back to Factorio Space Age. My name is Nilaus, and we're going to do a little bit of an intermezzo from our Let's Play and focus on spaceship design today, because it feels like a good time to do that. We have the 4 first planets discovered and settled just a little bit, and we are sort of considering in the not so distant future to go to Aquilo, so we need a special ship for Aquilo. But first we also need to do a lot of interstellar transports between these planets to really tie it well together, which will be another episode later on how to do that in the most efficient way. But today we're going to be looking at spaceship designs, because this is my spaceship. It's actually working really nice, but it's a very small one. So what we need to do is today, by the end of it, we will have 2 different new spaceships. One is what I call an interplanet freighter. This is going to be focused on heavy transport, lots of storage, and going safely between the 4 inner planets. And then we'll have an outer planet frigate, which will be full of gun turrets, rocket turrets, and nuclear power to go to the outer planet, to Aquilo. So very different designs, and there will be the reason why I feel that there's enough similarities that we can do both of them at the same time, because it comes in modules, and that's kind of my inspiration here, is that I want to show you something in terms of sort of making it into modules. So what we'll be going through is different aspects of it for both ships at the same time and see if that works. So I'm going to be covering storage, I'm going to be covering power, that means solar and nuclear. I'm going to be talking about resource collection and processing. We're going to be talking about defenses in terms of turrets and rockets. We're going to talk about how to craft those, the ammo and the rocket production. And we're going to be talking about propulsion, engine blocks, fuel management, and different types of fuel recipes. And we're going to be talking about how to control it, control ammo production, control sushi bait maintenance, departure conditions, idle warnings, all that good stuff. So tons of things that you need in order to build a armada of spaceships in Factorio Space Age. So that sounds good. Then sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. The first thing is about where to build it. Always build it over Nilaus. Probably you have most of your resources there, but it's also the only place where you don't get attacked, so you really want to build your spaceship safely and then only afterwards. So what I do is I build it with normal components. I'm going to be focusing all of my builds here with normal components, and I'll be talking about where to use quality items, but I won't be sort of making a quality ship, because then you might not be able to replicate it. I want to make one that works without quality, and then you can make it even better with quality. That's my intention. But then I move it to Fulgora, where I have all my quality components. Another thing here, you can see that this highlight, that's because I've used the pin, so that when I am on the map, I can still jump quickly to my ships. That's pretty cool. How do you do that? Well, there's a little pin button here, and you can use that. The only disadvantage is that it now has a pin on top of the space hub. So that is some of the things that we want to do with. The first thing we want to do is that we're going to be looking at the inner planet freighter. And what we need to do is you first need to think about, what is it supposed to be? What is it intended to be? And they are intended to be about transport. This is about sort of having a big transport between the different inner planets. And then we want to start by making a big block here. Well, actually, didn't I say I wanted to do it without? Yeah, this one at least, we can do that without. These cargo bays, they give extra storage. The disadvantage of them is that you cannot interact with it. So if you want inputs and outputs, you can't set them here, they will not interact, but you can set them only when they're interacting with the actual hub. So that means these 8 titans are the only way we can interact with it. That is going to be like what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do it a little bit different on my outer planet here. What I'm then going to do is something that is becoming a staple in my designs, is the sushi belt around here. That is going to take care of, on the inside of the belt, the ones closest to the hub, I will have all of the chunks from the different asteroids. So when I catch a chunk, I'll put it on this belt rotating around, and I'll manage so that I don't insert too much. And on the outside, I'll have ammunition. That means in the case of the inner planet freighter, I'll have ammunition, and in the case of the outer planet frigate, we will have gun ammo and also rockets. This is an alternative view we have of on the frigate, where it's a little bit different. Here I want more storage, so I can't just make it one big blob, so I kind of put it out here to the sides and then leap under it with my sushi belt for resources. And I'm also going to put it down here because even if this is a very long ship, and that's intended, we need to have a lot more work done on this ship, and therefore I also need to make sure that I get my ammo down here to the back of the ship. The front of the ship will not be a problem, but the back of the ship will be will need to sort of get that sushi belt down here. The next thing we're going to look at is power, because you absolutely need power, and that's kind of the first thing you want to build on a ship, because you can't really get anything and you don't want to see those blinking lights all the time. So there are basically two ways of making power on a spaceship. The one is solar power and the other one is nuclear. So solar power works fine for all the inner planets. Let's have a look. So all the inner planets, with the exception of Fulgora, have great solar power in space. It has 300%, it has 200%, and it has 600%. But Fulgora is only 120. So yeah, it kind of might be a little bit struggling. But going to Aquilo and relying on solar power is not really going to work. It's 60%, so not really going to work for Aquilo. And for Fulgora, just throw in, when you're done with the design, and if you have some empty spaces, put some accumulators there and it'll be fine. It'll just be a little bit slower. It might be lacking a little bit of power, but solar is perfectly fine for the inner planets. Nuclear is needed for the outer planets. Let's have a look at clicking on our here. So we're going to be adding some solar panels. Solar panels is a place where you really get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of getting, of using better solar panels. Right, this is 4 different. I think this is going to be somehow how we want to build it. So we get some little blocks up here, and like we'll just be shoveling things around later on, and get a little bit more. Now this seems like completely arbitrary. Not, but you know me, it's not completely arbitrary. Well, that's this part. But let's look at nuclear power, because we're going to be building nuclear power here. Nuclear power is a strange beast on a spaceship. Here I know that the reason why I built this structure for this the storage is because I need to be able to pull things out from below and pull things above. Basically the overall design will be, up here I'll make the ammo production, down here I'll have the fuel production, and in the middle I'll have power production. It kind of makes sense that you have the fuel production next to the engines and you have your your ammo production close to the perimeter. Also, another thing I should mention, I'm making slim ships, because the wider they are, the more ammo you need. Of course, you also get more resources, but you also need to produce more resources. So a slim ship is going to be shooting at less or encountering less enemies. Like stuff that comes out here will just slide on by, but if you have a really wide ship, then you'd have to shoot down everything. So using more ammo if it's a wider ship, worth considering. Back to the nuclear power. We should have, let's go in here. Let's get a nuclear power plant. Now, nuclear power plant, where are you? Where are you hiding? There you are. We're going to start by making it here, because that means we can then go in and out. So we can now manage the inputs and outputs. This, of course, will be managed using the new method here, where you are reading the temperature, and therefore you only insert it when it gets close to 500. So we want to keep it always above 500, but never peak at 1000 degrees. Just keep it above 500, and then when it drops below, like maybe 520 or something like that, you insert another one. So that would be here. We're going to be setting the good ones here, and then we'll be setting basically enable when the temperature is less than 550, for example. That would be a thing. Then the next thing is, this produces 40 megawatt. You're not going to need 40 megawatt of power, so getting it the optimal size is not really that important. Optimal size would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, you can see that's a little bit too much. So that's not how we're going to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 5 would be better, but you can't really fit it in here because you also need water. Here's an important thing: if you're used to nuclear power in pre-space age, it used a lot of water, but now it's divided by 10. So you basically get 10 steam for each water, which means that you don't need as much water, and that means you can actually manage the water consumption up here. So this is working perfectly fine. This is also a place where a nuclear power plant is expensive, while So getting this one and just keep re-rolling for a better quality version, or having all of these resources in high quality, maybe not so viable. But this is pretty cheap. Like, this is just iron, copper, and steel, and this is iron, copper, steel as well. No, iron and copper. So these you can do the heat exchangers and the steam turbines. Definitely reroll those a lot of times, and then get the higher quality. Getting some higher quality here means that you can actually consume or use more of the power available. So that's pretty damn important. Oh, we got epic quality. That means everything broke on Fulgora. Whoops, probably should not have done that. Anyway, that's one of my next episodes, is going to Fulgora and fixing all the quality parts, but that's not now. Then, of course, we need some heat exchangers, and we need to also get some water in here as well. So this is my final form of the nuclear power plant. We have here a single one chemical plant. I have to put in a few modules here in order for us to make it enough, so we can make you with only one chemical power plant. For this, it makes 32 water, and these are consuming 30 water. If you scale up, you have to scale up as well with the chemical power plant. I put a storage tank in here, so we store some water for a rainy day. That means that we're just absolutely just stacking it up. We don't want to run out of water for our nuclear power plant, so we just keep it here just in case that it's sort of stalling on Nauvis for a long time, because Nauvis just really doesn't have a lot of stuff inbound. So that's what we're going to do here. And I'm going to bring things in and out on these belts, and it's very important that this is going on the inside of the belt, because that's where we have all of the asteroid chunks. Now that we have power, storage, and our distribution belt here, then let's talk about how to get resources in, because that's going to be, well, the foundation of all of it. So we're going to of course use the collectors here. That's the only way we can get resources in here. And we're going to be moving that thing here. Collectors is something where I would say definitely, without a doubt, use better than normal quality, because they have several arms if they have better quality. So definitely want to do that. Yes, let's see, I'll just make 3 of these or something like that here, and we'll make it on the other side as well. There and there and there. So we're going to be grabbing stuff here. The intention is that there are basically 2 principles. You can either have these, grab everything that comes in, and then you throw away what you have in excess, because you're not going to get it in balance. You will get too much of something, too little of something else. Now, I don't like that idea. The advantage of just grabbing everything is that you can use the storage for just storing things. However, this storage might be full of metallic asteroids, and you don't want metallic asteroids, and then you suddenly sort of have to empty it anyway. So what I do is I will control and then only allow them to pick up what I need. That means we need to figure out what we need, and the way we do that is by monitoring the entirety of this sushi belt here around it, the loopy belt, and then basically say, how much do we have versus how much do I want? So I set this here. This is where you set the parameters of how much. I want 50 of each, because I know that 200 and a little bit is what it needs. If it has 200 and something, then it will get stuck. So I don't want to have so much that it gets stuck, but I want to make sure that I have a buffer. So now I can take this one. These are turned on green when they have all they want, but so nothing is green here. But I am going to take from these outbounds, I'm going to be dragging it back into... why can I not do that? Okay, well anyway, I'm going to need that. Get you up here. Get you in there, yes. And that needs to sort of go out to all of these locations somehow. And these need to then use set filter, because now it sets filter to all the stuff that is requested. Currently, I'm requesting all of it, so that's why it doesn't really change anything. But it's a great way to control what they're picking up, and that means they can then be picking it up and putting it back on the belt in a simple manner like this. So now we've done all the resource distribution here, or collection and maintenance. What we have here, you can see here we have enough of the metallic, enough of the carbonic, and not enough here. So the way I've done it, I've set it up 50 for each. Then I said here, if the green wire, that is how much we have on the belt, is less than the desired amount on the red wire, then you send a signal of saying, give me more metallic asteroid chunks. And that sends a signal out to the filters here. Currently, we do not have... Why do we not have the filter? Why are you not the same? You are... setting a filter out. And oh, right, did I not set the did not set the filter. This is why we check everything. There we go. So these are filters to water and nothing else. Over on the frigate, we have done a little bit more elaborate because it's a bigger ship and we need more resources in. So we turbined this architecture here, but the design is pretty much the same thing. So now we have storage, we have power, we have resource collection, and we have resource resource inventory management. Oof, that's fancy. The next thing we want to do, let's look at propulsion, because I think that's kind of important when we have a spaceship. Now there are basically two ways to do propulsion, and the two different recipes. That's revolving around the two different recipes, and we're going to do both, so you get an input on how to do both in this this series here. There is the normal one, the thruster, which is carbon and water, and then there's the advanced one with carbon, calcite, and water. This one is discovered, you get that on Clever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the first one will not use that recipe. The inner planet freighter, because that's something you need to be able to make as soon as you go from the first to the second planet, and then can be used between all these planets. And then the other one for the outer planet frigate, I'm going to assume that you have access to it, and therefore we're going to be working on making the same design, making a different design by using the more advanced recipe. When it comes to the engine design, we need two elements. We need the actual engines, and we need the fuel production. So let's take a look at the thruster setup. I feel that there is only really one setup that works. I think this is once I discovered it, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be how it is. And there you go. 5 thrusters is definitely enough for this ship. And we'll just get some of that here, some of that here. This is my favorite design. The reason why it's my favorite design is you can see here, if we put in the oxidizer, it connects from here into these two. If you put in the fuel, it connects these here. That means we have a really easy setup for feeding everything, which is usually something that involves a little bit of belt spaghetti, and in this case, not so much. There. That means all I need to do is put in oxidizer on this side and fuel on this side, and then we're good to go. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the other ship, but just a little bit bigger. Now the design on the bigger ship is a little bit different because I have moved the storage tank up on the outside of the pump, which means that I can now control the flow into the engines directly, but have the storage on the other side. This is important because this ship can be really fast, and if we get overwhelmed by too many rockets, we want to be able to say, oh, don't fly at max speed to the outer planet, but actually fly at a speed that we can control. We can control this by controlling the flow of the pumps and monitoring the velocity that the speed is moving at. So using this plus pumps, then you can control it, but if I have the pumps on the other side, then I can't control that. That is not the case here. I don't need to control the flow in here because it'll fly at maximum speed. Nothing is dangerous. They're just the small asteroid chunks. So that's the difference in the design. Finding the right amount of fuel production to match your capacity here it's weird. You can't really tell that for sure. So I built 3. It looks nice. It gets the job done. It seems reasonable. If you have better ones, then sure. But what I'm going to do, and I think that that's something that is easy to forget, is you actually can use beacons on ships as well. So I would say this is a great place to put beacons, because we can actually both use it for just speeding things up, but also you get it for reducing the power consumption. Both are excellent things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of that, and I am going to take one of these, and I'm going to get that over here as well, and that will get the other one, and then I can then do all of this, and then my power consumption will be really power consumption. Oh, these ones have blocked. Ah, man. Okay, yeah, that was interesting. Haha. Okay, power consumption is now reduced to nothing. Good. Will it also be the case if I take that out? No. So there is a value to putting 3 markers here. So this makes them faster, but also still not using any power. Great. Thank you, beacons. Although the beacons are using a lot of power though. Better beacons, high quality beacons use less power. Now the issue here is that, the challenge is that we need carbon in here, we need iron ore in here, and we need water in here, which means that we need to convert the water using this recipe. So we need to set up some crushers in this area that will hook up to this part here. So this is a nice little compact module where we take ice crystals in, make it into water, store it in a little bit of box, get it in here, linked over, and then symmetrical. Yeah, you know me, I like symmetry. Now this can actually just be taken, and if we cut down this part here, whoops, we can actually just jam it in, and it will attach itself perfectly right at where we need it. Yep, and like that, and like that. Great. So if you have gone to Fulgora, if you've gone to Volcanus, then you can also use a reprocessing recipe that is listed here. This is the one that here, where you take metallic ones and convert them into 80% of something else, or carbonic ones, and do it. Because you're never going to have enough water here. You just need more water, and especially on the one with the nuclear. Well, actually, this is the one that needs the more water. Sort of considering. So what you can do is you can take this and reprocess iron, and you can take another one over here and reprocess carbon. This is only if you have been to volcanoes. If not, then it just means that it can be a little bit more uneven. We can see, for example, we have enough iron, but not enough water. It's clearly lacking on water. So what you can do is you can set up a insert condition here. I'm going to not turn it to... Then you can set it up with a wire so that it connects here, monitors the entire belt. And then on here you can say it is enabled when we have more carbon than we do have ice. Then you're allowed to reprocess it. Likewise on the other side, you can do the reprocessing of metallic chunks. When you have more metallic, then you have oxide chunks. And that will sort of over time balance itself out. And then I'm going to be doing here, but I need this here. There. The reason why I can't use a short one is because when they insert on a corner, they'll insert on the wrong side. So I have to use a long one, and then they insert correctly on this. Generally, if you think about it, then it is generally inserting on the right-hand side in the direction of travel. So that is basically our complete setup for engine block. Let's do the same thing on the outer frigate, which is a lot more difficult because, well, it's a little more challenging because now you need to have a more advanced recipe. Now we need both the calcite in, and we need iron ore and calcite in for both things here. So that's a little bit more challenging to get that in, but we still make it all from the chunks. We just need to make it in a different way. What I'm going to do is I am going to have a little bus belt. Oh, look at that! That got overflowed. They got overflowed because these are not set up for. These are not constrained. Okay, that's fine. We're going to be deleting this temporarily and building something. So what I want to do is I want to make a big production plant of this. So we're going to take this out temporarily. We're going to be making some advanced thrusters. This is producing twice as much. And we'll make four of those. Could you do with less? Absolutely. Absolutely you could do with less. But I want this ship to be awesome, and it's a frigate, so it needs to be combat ready. And the same thing on the other side here. And then we're going to have a little, I'm not going to say a bus build, but kind of getting the things we need inbound here. And we're going to need 2 belts we want because we like symmetry. That should be the middle. Okay, so these are the middle ones. You're going to take that out. And no, this is actually correct. And what are we going to get on these belts? Well, that's going to be, we're going to get iron ore, and we're going to get ice, and we're going to get calcite, and we're going to get carbon. So we need 4 things, which is 2 belts. And the way we're going to make it is because we want to have down here. We want to have the ice makers. We can make those down here, and they are unfortunately not super fast, but this should be enough to make the ice makers down here. And now just kind of need to figure a way to set this up. So this got a little bit more advanced here. So what we have now is we have production out here, carbon and iron going out on different sides of the belt here. They go down. Then we also have ice and ice plus, that's definitely not the right one. Whoops, it's the advanced one, yes, because that gives us calcite and it gives us ice. So, but we need to make sure that the ice produced by the by this advanced process, which isn't a lot, but it's something, must go in first. This is why I'm branching it in here. So it goes on that inside belt. And before the other one which generates a ton of ice. Then that has to come in afterwards. So the output from this ice maker cannot go in if it's full of the ice from the other ice maker. So this is a way to do priority. And I hope it works. But now we have this belt down here. And it goes into the middle. So I'm going to be showing this, how to do this, because it's weird. Something discovered on the stream yesterday. And then it goes out here. There's a little loop-de-loop. It serves two purposes. There. And goes looping back. We now have a closed loop. This part out here serves, I mean, as I said, a couple of purposes. Then I have to say this now, what is on the outside belt here, now becomes the inside belt here. No, it's the inside belt all the way. Yeah, okay, so this is inside belt. It just needs to be the same place. Yes. All right. Then that's fun, because this will also serve this so that we can get ammunition down here, because we're going to need ammunition down here as well. So we're producing, and this has reconfigured a little bit because I wanted to make sure that we get the pump, and then I saw that there was an opportunity for just sort of squeezing it up a little bit more here. So we're making it, and are we connecting? No, we're not connecting there. This is oxidizer coming in, yes, and this is our thruster fuel coming in. So the only thing we have remaining in production-wise is the production of ammunition, and we're going to start with the inner planet freighter, the one here. This is going to be basically looking at what we have on our normal ones. So we have this little configuration here, and I think that's a really good design. So let's kind of use that as a foundation, but just make it bigger. So we're basically going to look at this. Hold on. Ooh, that's weird. There. Good. And I want to say, what if I want to have it twice as big? That means I would take here, here, and then get all this weirdness replicated again. Kind of. Oops. Yeah. And then I'll get another one, and I want these to be 3 apart. Yeah. Because then I could get a belt in here and a belt out there. You could even go up here. And then I'm gonna use output, and then the input, and this belt will go up. And we will, yeah, we will actually still have this belt going back home. There. So now we kind of have the ingredients there. This needs to go a little bit up. And we are now in, and this will be only ammunition out. I mean, it shouldn't be anything else, but it's always good in this case to just kind of visualize what is being sent out of which places. So this looks really nice in my opinion. Maybe we don't need so many of the here. I want to take that out, and then you can always put it in later on if you want to. Okay, so that works. Now we need to attach this to the belt down here. And it's going to be a little tricky because these two could just go into the outside of this belt just directly by moving the whole thing 2 tiles down. But that's not really what I want. I actually want it to be put into the central location. And then I want to get it out again afterwards. What I mean by that is I want to have a buffer inside here. So we can definitely take this and go a little bit down and get that maybe here. That is all the way down. Now how's that going to work? That is going to work by saying These are just going to be shoveling it inbound until it has like a certain amount. Ammo is less than 500. Wow, there's a lot of ammo we put into here. Whatever. So that takes ammo. I'm also going to be using these just to make it very, very clear. This is what is coming in. They're coming in. Good. Then I wanted to go out on these two belts here. No, not these two belts. Yeah, I need ammo outbound as well. Oh, right. Yeah, ammo outbound just needs to go. I can do it like that. And really important to not do that. This will be... For this one, I'll just fill it up with ammo. Not pistols. Ammo. Because it's okay if this belt is completely stalled. There's nothing else on this belt, so that's fine. I do, however, need to take also from this belt, use my usual input-output method here, and there. So it grabs ingredients from the... Oh, no. It should not get everything from the belt. That's a disaster. It should get only the metallic chunks, actually. Metallic chunks can go up here. And we'll just delete the belt. And that should get us, when we get some metallic chunks, hopefully. What are we seeing here? We should have metallic chunks on the belt. Alright, it works. We got some metallic chunks. It goes up here, makes some ammo. The ammo flows backwards into this location, into the storage, where we will have enough. It'll now stockpile on this belt, and it's all good. Right, that's excellent. Now, what is it going to look like on the outer planets frigate? That's going to look a lot different. Now, because we can assume that you have been through all of the different locations, we can also assume that you have now also gotten access to the foundries. So we're going to use foundries because we also have calcite now. So we get calcite here without bringing it up from core. We can actually get it from the ice crystals. So we're going to be doing this in a little bit different way by saying you're going to get this one. The iron ore plus calcite is going to be our benchmark here. Let's gem that out in the corner like that. And then we're simply going to make it into iron plates. Because we're going to need a lot of iron plates here. You can do 2 of these. This one can do 93, and each of these can only consume 25. So you need to scale it up a lot. But I think it's worth it to get some kind of speed here. Maybe just 1 speed. And then the other 3. Something like this is probably valuable. Then you take 32. You could also, well, we're going to have nuclear power, so we should actually have enough power. Then something like this is probably fine. There we go. Or it is fine. Now we're going to have the same amount of ammunition usage here. So let's just get that out. I'm going to get it on a belt here. So you're going to go out. You're going to go out. You're going to go in and in. And I'm also going to take something else out on the other side so that I'm sure that some of it will always bypass this because we're going to need it for some other things. Now I'm going to do sort of the same as I have this with the line outwards. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the line upwards here. That will be, the middle will be here plus here. That means it has to go underneath. And this will be the ammunition coming from the belt. So let's make sure that we get that. And then we also have the other one will go the other way because that is the ammunition we actually produce. Great. So I need to... let's see. I'm going to get that here. And this should not be everything, but it should only be the ammo that we want to output here. Okay, now that is easy. That is basically, we make some iron, lots of iron, make it into some ammunition, send the ammunition back in here. And then that will go somewhere into this area, I guess. There we go. And then I will also do the same thing outwards. Will need to set that up. But the big thing is, how do we make the rockets? Well, the thing is, we did not so long ago on Gleba, we did... Oh, we're still working on that. On Gleba, we did some... Here, this part is basically how we're going to do it. We're going to take one cold synthesis into 2 chemical plants for explosives into 2 assemblers here. So this is the premise we're going to make, and we're going to be putting it somewhat into this area, pretty much, and then we can just shuffle it around. So I've shuffled things around. We get the iron in from the other side, going in, and going into these 2 assemblers here. Then they go out, and then have to be put on the opposite side of the belt, and this one also opposite side of the belt, because here we get the ammo also on the opposite side. So they go back in, and then it's going to be super happy going in here. We are going to finish up the rest of this one by just going, oops, here, and then this one will be split, of course. And then I'm going to be bringing in these 2 things in here, the ammo and the rockets, so that we can control how much we want of each. I'm also going to be breaking them out of this area, so that they can be brought into each side of this belt. Now the inputs and outputs are sorted, and we need to now figure out how do we get actually the resources in here, because that's not going to be easy either. So the first thing is, well, that is going to be easy because we need iron ore in here. So let's get some iron ore in here. That should be pretty straightforward, and that will just be you go in here, and we already have the ins and outs that we already have done so many times before. So that is the ins and outs, and you are going to be making not the advanced one because not the advanced one because that also gets copper. We do not want copper here. We just want lots of iron, and each of those are now constrained. We have way too much on the inside belt, but that's probably will be balanced eventually, I hope, as we use it. And then the next one is we are going to need some calcite in here. So the only way to get calcite is from the advanced oxide, and that means we need to get out here. We are going to get calcite, that one, and that will just happily stand here and then get shoved in. Great. And this is also going to be working here. However, this will also generate some ice, and we need to get rid of the ice. So I'm going to be putting that ice out here like this. This should work because it's putting on the right hand side of the direction of travel, which means it comes on the inside and then it should go in. Oof, I think it might work, because that means we can now go, actually let's just copy this here. This will now be making our water there. Water comes in and water's happy over on the side. This is not going to generate enough water, plus then I have the water being dependent on the calcite, and calcite is used in vanishingly small quantities. Oh, by the way, why are you not grabbing anything? Do we not have any? Oh, we have no ice at all. Wow. Let's get another here, and then that will be just the old school ice one here. And we're going to do the same thing, ins and outs, and you're going to be putting here. I did the calculations, and there is no way for this to be jammed when it's by sort of being overfilled from here. It cannot happen. That's my hypothesis. So it probably will happen here. And then I need to figure out what it is I want to have here. This one is going to be the advanced carbonic asteroid crushing, which you get on Gleba. So this only works when you've been to Gleba, and that gives us carbon and sulfur, and that means we can then put in happily here, and then I am going to figure out how to yeah, this has to be the output, and that's gonna be too far away, so that cut that one up. Yep. And then I will need to get something else. Yeah, okay. It's a little bit tricky, but I need to be able to get up here. But I need to be able to both output the carbon and the sulfur. And there is a really neat trick we can do. Here, and here. I love this kind of designs. This is the best part about expansion, is that you need to sort of really come up with cool designs. So let me just highlight. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, that's not it. That's sulfur. Like, you really have to be creative. So what happens here is carbon comes out here, gets put in on the left hand side, while this output sulfur goes on the right hand side. That means that now I can control that they are on the opposite side of the belts. That goes in here and becomes carbon and sulfur together with the water we just made. And everything is then going to be super happy, and there's not a lot of space left. What a coincidence. Then let's just see if we can get it to actually work. So that's actually an interesting thing here about this. Now it is working and it's good, but everything has been sort of stockpiling everywhere because it was just, I had a rare condition. But it actually might be something that could happen, because we are going to get so many resources in that there is a chance that things will actually overflow. I've decided that we bring in nuclear because I'm kind of having like attached extra solar panels everywhere. But what I think is something that I definitely want to have is a little interesting tidbit here. This, yeah, I'm not going to do that yet. Could be and should be maybe a way where we just basically throw things out, throw things overboard that we don't need. This is like a nice little clever place, because over here we have some circuits that are in the way. But that would be basically saying, if we have more than twice as much as we should, then start throwing it away. This is not what I've done now. I've basically taken the threshold, multiplied by 2. Then I'm comparing each element against the double threshold, and then I'm outputting that as a signal. Yes, I could also do that for all of these, but I don't, apparently. So now I'm just going to set filter here, and that means these will be thrown out into the void, and that should help balance out so we don't have any excess. And we can hover here and see that this is now decreasing, although more will be set in, and then that should help alleviate it and then get a focus on what we want. Wow, this is the really important part. If there's just one metallic chunk in here, that will actually become part of the signal. That's why we've been setting up that we've been keep wanting to get more metallic chunks, even though we really shouldn't. Okay, well, the problem is solved. So check out, you cannot have any chunks in here. That is super bad. All right, what we have is now we have everything produced here. The only thing we miss is now to hook it up and actually set it out. So what we're going to do is we are going to be focusing first on the rockets, because those are the biggest ones, and they are we only want rockets a few places. So basically we want to have lots of rockets up front here, because we want to shoot things down. It's kind of how we want what we want to do with rockets. Something like something like this, maybe, so that we can take, let's actually mark this as a rocket output here, that one, and then we can say in here, that one. Yes, so then we have lots of rockets. These rockets, very important, they're not going to be shooting at everything. They're only going to be shooting at the big metallic, the big carbonic, and the big oxide, and ignore everything else. Very important. Otherwise you're going to be wasting a lot of rockets on trivial things. Here comes the next, and which I think is the coolest part of this design. That is not working, and we're going to go here. We're going to take this out. It is time for us to start the nuclear power plant. It's going to go in. Important thing, override stack size, set it to 1, because now I just put in a lot. There we go. There you go. Then put it in 5. That should be enough. And then it'll only put in when it is less than 550. So what I was saying, the coolest thing about this design is this part, because it is very important that we also protect, if you look here, protect the backside. And when we're hovering at a place where there's with the big asteroids, they can sort of tumble in from the side, and if I don't shoot them down, then they will destroy my ship. So you must have something here, but you don't need to have it all the time. And then we need some gun turrets as well, and we can set those here for taking out the small ones. And honestly, isn't that amazing that we can just make a little outpost out here? I think that's amazing. I love it. there. And then also this should also be prioritized. It should be shooting at small and medium. Small and medium. I'm not really understanding the small one though, but I did, when I only set it to medium, then suddenly a small one, okay, that's not happening. A small one was sort of tumbling in. I did not get where the small one was coming from. And the final piece of the puzzle is, of course, just to put in a lot more turrets. These turrets will be set everywhere. And then we'll be setting the idea of this in terms of how we get this out. We want to get turrets out. We want to really use primarily the front for defense of well, everything. That means we're not going to get really that far down. We're going to be, oops, not like that. This is probably where we're going to get, and then we really don't need anything on the middle, which might be a mistake, but you know, I guess we'll find out. And then we need something up front here, just kind of a smattering that can sort of be brought in. And where are we going to get our rockets? Our outbound, let's see, this is, yeah, so the thing is, it'll be distributed from here. So we need to just get these basically placed in a way that you can leapfrog with a small one in here. This will of course be ammo. And then you can leapfrog it maybe down there. I need to make sure I have. By using a long-headed. And then with that pattern you can sort of spread it everywhere, and you want to make sure that at the end of the daisy chain it ends up here, because that's where we need the most ammo, so it needs to sort of always just propagate towards this area. Now we've set up all the ammunition in a nice chain here, going all the way up here and ending up here, or coming from here and going directly into this area, so we're oversaturating the top. Then whatever space we have left, we can just plop in a little accumulator here and there. That will help us a little bit when we get to Fulgora, but aside from that, it won't really do much. The last thing that we want to do, actually let's look at the design here of the ammunition. So this is now the final look and feel of this the ship. So it comes up here, and actually I don't think I want that. Oh, look at this. This is way too high. Oh no. Yeah, okay, that's definitely not nice. It did look kind of weird. Looks nicer, much nicer. Okay, and what we have is, here's an interesting thing. We have the coverage, but that's rockets down here. They also have it. But what about, like, right in the middle? Like, between that and that? There could be something that's shut down. Well, and plus, when we fly around, these could also be shooting at other things that just sort of pass by and is irrelevant. So I should actually hook this up to the circuit wires, and we can do that. We're going to be hooking up from here to that one, because these will only be active when velocity is equal to 0. So only when they are standing still will these ones be active. Because there is no way that I need to use these when I'm flying. They are there so that when I'm parked on Aquilo, just sort of shoot things that come nearby. And I could, even if I wanted to, I could also, which I do apparently, I could also say, you know what, when you're sort of idling, you can shoot at these things when you're standing still, because then you can actually shoot at small things that come by. That will make it a little bit safer in terms of sort of if a big rocket comes in or a big asteroid comes in, it gets shot up, then the small rock can sort of tumble in between this area and this area. Then what I can do is I can just have it being shot down by these rockets. It's wasting a little bit of rockets, but I think it's totally fine. It's a very marginal case. The last thing we want to do for this is set what I would say launch conditions. That's what we're setting here. So that we basically can, when we are setting up here, we want to say, well, I want this when launched, there are 5 green lights, and then you can sort of set circuit conditions. I want to make sure that there's at least 20,000 fuel, 20,000 oxidizer, 4,000 or 400 ammo, and 400 rockets, close, and at least 20 nuclear fuel. Perfect. And those will be the green. So basically when you're looking at the ship, you should just go like, okay, is it green everywhere? These are really annoyingly not at the same height, are they? Are they? They are. Cool. And then at this point all we can do is just put in a little solar panel here and there if there's any space. There's really no space anywhere, but maybe an accumulator we can put in once here and there. Just get that in here. This is totally up to you if you want to use the remaining space for these kind of things. Like, okay, do you want to put it in here? I don't know. We'll just do it. Get a few here. This is definitely was a good place. There's some places where we kind of deliberately made room for it, and then out here we can also get a little bit. And yes, another solar panel. Like having a little bit of solar panel should the this come out maybe useful. It looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Cool. The ships are complete. What we've done is now we've worked our way from the storage to the resource management to the collection to the processing to the rocket engine design to the rocket fuel design to the ammo design to the rocket design to the distribution of the said ammo and rockets into defenses, which we'll then configure. On top of that, all the different conditions that we use to control the ship and just make sure that we get warnings and all that stuff. There's one thing more, and that is, what if this one has been idle for 10 minutes at somewhere? Then I'd really want to know, especially for the freighters here. They are going to be always moving, and I can't really detect if this one has been stuck for a long time. So let's do a little warning that'll ping us if there's a problem. Holy smokes, why have I not done that? Whew. So what I built here is I built a little counter. This one just says n equals 1, n is a counter, and this counts when the velocity is 0, then it just keeps counting upwards. You can see it goes up and up and up. And then I basically say it'll reset when velocity is not 0, then it'll reset, and then it'll start over when it starts working again. And then I'm going to set up here a condition that says when it gets over 36,000, which is 10 minutes, then it'll throw a warning that says inner planet freighter has been idle for 10 plus minutes. And then maybe, just maybe, I'll actually notice the little ghost icon down here. And that's something we want to do. We don't want to set it for the frigate, because the frigate is going to be idle for a long time until it's loaded and ready to go to Aquilo. So we have now a nice freighter here. We've also researched the epic quality. So what we need to do now is, in the next coming episodes, will be to use the freighters to start making some interplanetary logistics between all the planets and scaling it up before going to Aquilo. So I hope you've enjoyed this rather lengthy design tutorial for which has resulted in 2 new fancy ships. We can always upgrade them with better quality things if you want, but they are absolutely going to work without any quality improvements. This one is actually go, so we can send this over to Fulgora just to see that it is actually working, and it gets there. Just to see that our ship is working. It's a little bit of shame is that we can't release just the rockets. We can, but you're gonna have to follow along for the series for later on. So when you get to the next planet, this is now flying, and we can then also adjust it. Here they have adjusted it so that when it is above 2,000, then or 200 speed, then it stops putting in more thrusters in here, and then means we can now control the speed here. Or I can just set these up to 300, then it'll actually go 300. There. Oh, look at that. Look at these cute ones. Oh, they're so cute. That really didn't need to do that, did they? Oh, right. They're also not hooked up with the wire, these two. Ah, you're a little bit noisy, aren't you? There we go. Now they stop. And of course, these 2 spaceships are available as part of my blueprint package, and also the save games are available to patron supporters. So if you are a patron supporter, you get the blueprints, you can set those up, but we also did sign it here on screen, so you can just screenshot it and you can get inspired and improve on these designs. I can guarantee you there are mistakes in this, but they will be sort of ironed out as I actually put it in use. But this is the general principles to get you some really cool ships. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Until then, take care and stay effective.